Okay, so we're actually going to be using algebra now to solve some equations. So what we've got here in this example, it says find the equation to be solved and the solution to the equation shown for each of the following flowcharts. Now these flowcharts look a bit different to the ones you've seen before. That's because they have two layers. Now we're only really interested in, to start this off, the top layer. All right, this is like an ordinary type of flowchart. So remember, the flowchart tells us what our equation is equal to. It's 2x minus 4 equals something. Now the something that this is going to be equal to is actually the number underneath. All right, this is the answer part. This part underneath here is going back towards the final answer. So the equation here is 2x minus 4 equals 6. It's this part. I'm actually going to do this one as well. We're just doing find the equation first. So we've got x minus 4 becomes x minus 4. And then this is a little divided by 2. So this is x minus 4 divided by 2. So that means that our equation would be x minus 4 divided by 2 equals the number underneath. So this number here equals 3. That's the equation. All right. Now we're going to do the part here that's called backtracking. So this is where we're going to find the solution. You've been wondering what x is. Well, now we can actually find that. So what we do is we backtrack through our flowchart. So we take the number that we have under here and we go backwards along this path, always doing the opposite. So you'll see here that originally we did multiply by 2. Underneath, it's divided by 2. On the top, we did minus 4. Underneath, it's plus 4. So what we do is we backtrack. For our solution for x, we actually say that x will be equal to 6. So we start here, now we go backwards. 6 plus 4, which is 10, and divide that answer by 2. And I'll do the steps there. So 6 plus 4 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. So that means that x equals 5 is our solution for this equation. And we know that makes sense because if we substitute, 2 times 5 is 10, minus 4 is 6. So it works. We're going to do the same thing here with this one. You can see in our flowchart we've got minus 4, so plus 4 down here, divided by 2, so times 2. We're going to find our solution for x. So what we do is say x equals, take this number, and then do all the things to this number going back this way. So you can see the first thing we have to do is we take the 3 and we multiply by 2. We then add on 4. And using BIDMAS, we do the 2 times 3 part first, and then we'd add those together. So our solution is x equals 10. And that makes sense too. 10 minus 4 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. So what we've done is we've used backtracking to find our solutions from an equation. So the two things that you're interested in here, just to put just to highlight them for you, is the equation and its solution. Here is the equation. Here is the value of x that actually makes this correct. The equation and the value of x that makes it correct. All right. Cool. The next one that we're going to look at is actually going to be creating one of these flowcharts with two layers. So draw a flowchart and use backtracking to solve the equation. Now it's called backtracking because we have to go backwards along a flowchart. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a flowchart. Oops. Create a flowchart for 3x plus 4 equals 22. So what we need is a box for x. We need to look at what's happening here to x. Some of you might prefer to write this out properly or fully with the multiply sign. Okay, I'll put a box around that. This is the equation we're looking at. So first thing that's happening to x, it's multiplying by 3. That gives us 3 lots of x, or 3x. That gives us this part. The next thing that's happening is this part, plus 4. So that gives us the whole left side of the equation, 3x plus 4 on the left. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down underneath and we're going to draw another layer onto our flowchart. This one's going to have arrows going back the other way. And the only question is what goes here. Now remember, it's the number that this is equal to. So 3x plus 4 is equal to 22. Now what we do is we look above here and we are going to write down the opposite operation to what's above. Plus 4 becomes minus 4 times 3 becomes divided by 3. And now we can actually fill in the table. I'll do this in red. So we start with 22, take away 4 from 22 gives us 18. Dividing 18 by 3 gives us 6. So the solution is x equals 6. How do we know that? Because it's this box down this way that gives you the answer. This is the question. This is the question. This is the answer. And check out how it's written. 3x plus 4 equals 22. Top equals the bottom. On this side, the answer, the top, equals the bottom. So the question and the answer. And the way we go from one to the other is we backtrack. We go down this way along that flowchart. That's why it's called backtracking. Oh, we can check this too. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 4 is 22. So that makes sense. Last one we've got here, a little bit more complicated. Same idea. We're going to draw a flowchart first. I am going to write down the question so we can see it. X divided by 4 minus 1 equals 2. Or if you'd prefer to write it this way, x divided by 4 minus 1 equals 2. Put a box around that. That's my equation. Let's do our flowchart. We start with x. First thing we do is we divide by 4. It becomes x over 4. The next thing we do is we take away 1. That gives us the whole left side, x over 4 minus 1. All of this. Next thing we do, we add our bottom layer to our flowchart and some arrows going back the other way for our backtracking. That way. Different operations, the opposite operation, plus 1 times 4. And the number to go in here is this number, the number 2. The answer goes on the right. Now we just work through our flowchart. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Remember, this is the question, this is the answer. So we went from this question to this answer. X equals 12 is the solution. And you can think about this as substitution too. Well, 12 divided by 4 is 3, minus 1 is 2.